I think this is the beginning of a beautiful friendship.
Roads? Where we're going, we don't need roads.
No. I am your father.
The greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing the world he didn't exist.
You're listening to After the Ending, the only film podcast where we tell you what happens after the ending of your favorite films. And now, here are your hosts, Mike Spring and Phil Edwards.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to After the Ending. I'm Mike Spring.
And I'm Phil Edwards.
And we are here with episode number 137. We are recording live, if you happen to be watching us live on the old Facebook and the social channels. And if you're not, then that's okay. You're watching us or listening to us after the fact. I guess I should say, did I say my name already, Phil? Did we say our names?
We've said our names, Mike. Yeah, you're Mike Spring and I'm Phil Edwards.
All right, thank you for reiterating that. Sometimes I get a little lost in the sauce, you know?
Yeah, well, it's our own fault for doing the drinking game in the last episode about the multiverses. So
That's right. Phil, why don't you tell people what we're talking about in today's episode?
yes, for this post-credit episode, we're going to be talking about the last 5 films we watched, and that's can be an streaming, Blu-ray, DVD, but it's the last 5 films.
Or
no
theater.
skipping, no hiding things. So there could be some good, could be some bad, could be some very ugly ones.
Could be, indeed.
Then we'll also be recommending some bits and pieces, whatever it's been taking our fancy over the past couple of weeks.
That's right. So our first feature is the last 5 films we watched. This is a fun one we've started to do, and we're really enjoying it. We love our top 5 lists. We do them for each of the post-credits episodes. But once in a while, we like to talk about movies that maybe we don't get a chance to talk about. Either we've already done an after the ending for them, or we can't do an after the ending for them, or we've never seen them before. They're too new, or a bunch of reasons. So this is basically, like Phil said, literally the last 5 movies we watched. And there's really no cheating. It's just the last 5 films, good, bad, or ugly, and we'll tell you what we thought of them. So it's kind of a great way to talk about some more interesting or diverse films sometimes, unless you're on a binge. And good thing we didn't do this right when I was watching all the Fast and Furious movies to get ready for Fast 9, because then I would have just basically listed Fast and Furious movies. So
I was thinking that the other day, if we just ended up watching a particular chunk of films, it could be, yeah. But luckily, mine are all quite different.
Right, mine too.
Yeah.
Mine too. Well, you kicked things off in the last episode, Phil, so why don't I kick things off here?
Yeah, go on and hit me with the first one.
All right, so I went in backwards order, right? So the first film I'm going to tell you is the one I watched, 5 movies ago, and then the last one will be the one I watched the most recently. My number 5 film is Reminiscence, starring Hugh Jackman and Rebecca Ferguson. It is out in theaters, but it's also on HBO Max, which is how I watched it. And it is sort of a science fiction film noir. It's about a guy who sort of helps people relive their memories. And then, of course, this sort of tragic thing happens to him. Sort of tragic, but maybe not. And he starts to go into people's memories and his memories to try and piece together what happened. And that's all I'm going to say about the story. But I really liked it, actually. It is definitely a film noir in a science fiction setting. There's a femme fatale. There's your hard-boiled detective, even though he's not a detective in the movie, but he kind of is. It's very classically film noir, but in a 2021 movie that is set slightly in the future. I think the film looks really good. I think the central story is really interesting. I like Hugh Jackman a lot. Of course, I absolutely adore Rebecca Ferguson. I think she is incredibly talented. I love her so much. And I like that the story went some places that I didn't expect it to go. I think it's one of those movies that kind of tries to give the audience what they need, not what they want. But I like that about it. I think it was kind of daring. It's not a fast-paced movie. It is definitely modeled after those film noir movies of the 50s. It is not like a super action-packed movie. It is kind of like a mystery, drama, sci-fi. There are a couple action scenes in it. But if you're looking for a Matrix type film, for example, you're not going to get that. But I liked it quite a bit. It was neat. It was different. It had a unique flavor to it. So that's the one I watched the furthest away. That was Reminiscence.
Okay, yeah, I remember. I've only seen the trailer for that. I've not seen the film, but I like the aesthetic of the flooded cities, that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a few comic books. Was it Dinosaurs and Cadillacs or something? Had a similar kind of thing.
Cadillacs and Dinosaurs, yep.
Cadillacs and Dinosaurs, yeah. But yeah, I like the look of the trailer and I like Hugh Jackman, but I've not had a chance to see that. My number 5 was, my first film was one I watched on Netflix. It's a documentary called Count Me In from early this year, maybe the end of last year. But it's a documentary all about drummers from various groups and bands, and talking about what inspired them, what got them into drumming, what they like about drumming, and how it brings them together, and just the beat. But it's got like the drummer from Pink Floyd, the Police, Foo Fighters. It's got Stuart Copeland, Taylor Hawkins, Nick Mason, Chad Smith, Roger Taylor from Queen, Nicky McBain, Jim Kellner, loads of people. Lots of people I didn't recognize, but then when I realized the bands they were in or they played with, it was really good. It's always like a good documentary, and this was a pretty decent one, because you're getting to see an aspect of music we don't often see. Often they're just the guy at the back, just keeping time and doing everything. But it starts going into as well just what goes into being a drummer. You got to have that passion and how hard it is. But then once you have it, it's just amazing. It's just great seeing as well what inspired these musicians to just start banging the drums. Lots of footage as well of young kids getting drum kits and things like that, and just watching the magic on them and seeing them grow and get better on the drums as well. A great little documentary on Netflix. Count me in.
Count me in. I will have to. Well, count me in for watching that. But and see, I did the little rim shot, but I did it like on purpose, because like I made a dad joke, but then I was like, oh, the drummers are the ones who do the rim shot. It all ties together.
We planned this all out. The script we have for this just goes through so many rewrites. It works so well. It's
not easy coming up with this comedy gold, let me tell you. All right, I'll have to check that out. Sounds interesting. I always like a good music documentary. So, all right, well, my number 4 goes back a ways to the late 90s, I believe, and it is Dante's Peak. A volcano disaster movie, starring Linda Hamilton and Pierce Brosnan. So I watched this because, well, if you've listened to the show for any amount of time, you know I'm a huge fan of disaster movies. But my daughter has become a big fan of disaster movies, and so I was looking. We had a night. A lot of times, my wife, if she's working late or she's out with friends, my son likes to just do his video games and stuff. He's not really into movies. But my daughter and I are both big movie buffs. So when we have those nights where we have the TV to ourselves, we pick a movie and we watch it. So I always look for like disaster movies and creature features and stuff like that, because she likes that stuff. So I was like, oh, Dante's Peak, you got to see this one. It's a really good one. So we watched it. She really liked it. I loved it. I've seen it a bunch of times. I think it's one of the most underrated disaster movies ever, but I think it's also just a highly underrated film. It's really, really good. It's classic disaster movie formula. Scientist tries to warn people, nobody believes him, then crap blows up everywhere. Literally in this case. But I think it's well paced, it's well written, the characters are believable. Pierce Brosnan and Linda Hamilton are really great, both of them, and they're good together. They have a good chemistry on screen. There's some humor in the film. The special effects are really good. There's a couple that look a little dated, but for the most part, the volcano special effects really hold up. And it's just, the last third of the movie is just pure destruction, and it's phenomenal. It's really good. Really looks great and is tense and exciting. And I just don't think Dante's Peak gets the credit it deserves. It was a medium hit back when it came out in like 99, whatever year it was. It made like 60 or 70 million at the US box office. So it did okay, but it wasn't like a blockbuster. But I really like it. I think it's a great film. It doesn't get the credit it deserves. So Dante's Peak was my number 4.
That was one of those films which, like Hollywood does now and again, there was a coincidence of 2 films coming out similar, because there was Volcano with Tommy Lee Jones, wasn't it?
Yeah, they both came out within months of each other, and I think that hurt them both. I do like both of the films, actually, but I do think Dante's Peak is the superior of the 2.
Cool. Yeah, not seen it in a long time, but yeah, good. My number 4 is one which came out, well, it was due out last year, but I'm not sure whether it did. But anyway, Quiet Place Part 2. Yeah, I got. It's now out on Blu-ray and digital, but I got sent the screener to watch Blu-ray. I like the first film; thought that was really good, but I thought the Quiet Place Part 2 was even better. I really liked it. I think it follows on. Well, we get a little prequel showing John Krasinski and the family on the day going playing softball, and you see like this huge rock falling through the sky, basically how the creatures got there, but you don't see it in any great detail. But then you see the creatures attack the town, and then it's like a hard cut to right after the events of the first film. We just follow straight on from that. Emily Blunt and the family making their way through the wilderness of Earth now that the creatures have laid waste to it, but it's good because the little prequel introduces some characters who show up later on. The world expands a little bit, but it's still focusing on these. But then there's, for reasons, the family have to split up and go different ways. Cillian Murphy's in it. He's brilliant in it. I do very little. He just very quiet. Yep. Just looks destroyed by what's gone on, who he's lost. But it's very tense because we've already seen the creatures in the first one. We can see them again now, but it seems to. I'm not sure the CG is different or more improved, but they look really good. Although there's bit, the whole Demogorgon from Stranger Things kind of thing going on. I just really like it. Tense, thoughtful, and the way they use sound or the absence of sound, because it's quiet, but still with the ambient sound as they're walking around. But then it's from the perspective from the deaf daughter, where they take away all sound, and there's the different levels of sound all the time. And then when they do make a little sound, and you're there just watching, going, you find yourself holding your breath and not making any sounds while you're watching it. But I loved it. I thought it was better than the first one, but only by a little bit. But it makes a really good double bill.
That's interesting. I loved Quiet Place too. No, I mean, no argument here. I don't know that I would say that I think it was better than the first one. I think I like the first one a little bit better still, but I really loved the second one. I thought they did a great job with it. It's a fantastic movie, and I'm sure there will be a third one, and I can't wait for that one either. So
yeah,
I'm glad you got to see it. I'm glad you liked it so much. It's really terrific. Really good. Excellent. All right. Well, my number 3, the most recent films we've seen, is also from the late 90s, early 2000s. It's Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil, directed by Clint Eastwood, starring Kevin Spacey and John Cusack. I'd never seen this film before. Yeah, it was one of those movies that came out. It got a lot of critical acclaim, didn't do much at the box office. It wasn't a big hit, but it was very well regarded by critics and such. And it's based on a true story, loosely based on a true story. It takes place in Savannah, Georgia, which the town is kind of its own character. And Kevin Spacey plays a rich man accused of murdering his kind of ne'er-do-well homosexual lover, which of course is kind of a scandal in this very southern, very proper town. And John Cusack is the reporter who comes down to cover a party and ends up covering a murder and becoming part of the inner circle. It was fantastic. It was really good. Very young Jude Law plays Kevin Spacey's lover, I think before he was famous at all. A lot of good people in the cast, a lot of recognizable faces. But just a solid mystery drama, or not mystery, more of a crime drama. John Cusack is great. Kevin Spacey, of course, is terrific. I'm mad at Kevin Spacey, I have to say. For some reason, I've ended up watching 3 or 4 Kevin Spacey movies recently. And
I think a lot of people are mad at Kevin Spacey, to be fair, Mike.
Right, but I always was a big fan of his, and as I've been watching some of his movies lately, for whatever reason, just happen to watch movies he's been in, I'm constantly reminded of what a great actor he is / was. And so to be part of this thing that has effectively ruined his career and taken that talent away from screens that really need it, I'm mad at him, because I wish he was just a nicer guy and didn't do these terrible things, so that I could still watch him in new roles, because he's just, everything he's in, he's phenomenal. And I wish he didn't do the things he did, so that we could still get new roles from him. Maybe he'll be back someday, I don't know, but everything I see him in, he's phenomenal.
Yeah. So, I remember that film at the time. I've not seen it myself, but I remember the poster,
with the statue.
That's whatever, when it was out.
Yeah,
I remember that, but never got around to seeing it. But
it's really, really good, and I highly recommend you watch it, because I think it's the kind of movie that you get sucked into and be like, "Why have I never watched this before?" And I remember it when it came out. I remember some people that I knew who had seen it who raved about how great it was. I think a lot of people who had seen it because it didn't do very well were like, "You got to watch this movie. It's really, really good." It's very much like, if you know Clint Eastwood directed movies, it's very much like that. It's not a fast-paced movie, but it's really just riveting from start to finish. And I really like this. So Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil, definitely worth tracking down.
Cool. And any viewers out there, if you've seen the film, let us know what you think. You can always, if you're watching it live on Facebook, you can always leave comments and we will see them. We can throw them up on the video and we can discuss them if need be. But that's was that your 4th film?
That was my 3rd.
My 3rd film is one you mentioned as a recommendation a few episodes ago.
Oh, cool.
It's from this year. It's Nobody, starring
cool.
Connie Nielsen, Christopher Lloyd, and RZA. Is it RZA or RZA?
No, RZA. It's pronounced RZA.
But I really enjoyed this. It's its basic level. It's a John Wick clone, but it's different. But it could be Bob Odenkirk's character could be somehow related to. Well, he's basically on the different side of John Wick. But anyway, similar kind of thing. But it's
a multiverse version of John Wick.
Ooh, that's a callback to the previous episode.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, he's Bob Odenkirk is just a guy living in suburbia, just going through the same old daily routine, things like that, and he's just not happy. Mm-hmm. And then something happens, and we realize that there's something inside of him, and he unleashes it on a bus, and then it just goes on from there because he ends up beating up the wrong person, and it gets back to somebody else, and then it's great because you see him. His character was like real tough at one point, but it takes him a while to get back up to speed. So he does get beaten up and he's bloody and bruised and things, but it's really good. Great seeing Bob Odenkirk, who from Better Call Saul and Missed the Show and things like that, but seeing him in this kind of role, it's just great. And when he gets his dad involved and his brother or stepbrother, is his brother? Yeah, but anyway, get that all involved, and it's just, I really like how it works, and it's just good. You can see his character come back to life after pushing things down that shouldn't have been pushed down. But if you haven't seen it, check it out. It's on Amazon Prime it's on Amazon Video in the UK. I think it's still on. You've got to pay to watch it though. It's on the premiere thing, whatever they call it.
Well, I'm glad you liked it because that was one of my recommendations. Nobody is a terrific action movie. A little close to brutal in some places, but never to the point where I was like upset with it. But I loved it, so I'm glad you enjoyed it. That makes me happy.
Yeah, and one I could probably watch again and again.
Oh yeah, for sure. That's definitely one I can rewatch for sure. So much great action in it. All right, awesome, excellent. All right, well, my number two, my second most recent film is one that I'm going to guess almost nobody's heard of. It's called Finding You. It is a rom-com that takes place in Ireland. It's rated PG, if that tells you anything. You don't see a lot of PG-rated movies these days. The two lead actors are unknowns. The girl's name is Rose Reed, and the guy's name escapes me at the moment, but I promise you've never heard of him. And it's basically like this American exchange student going over to Ireland. She meets this kind of obnoxious movie star on the plane, and they don't get along. So, of course, you're like, well, they're never going to meet again. But they end up staying at the same bed and breakfast. And, of course, and then there's a lot of, it starts off very much like a Hallmark movie, like one of the Hallmark Christmas movies that you see, which, as you know, I love.
I do know you like them, yeah.
But I will say by the end, it really did win me over. It has a real heart to it. It's got a couple of poignant moments towards the end that I really liked. No famous main cast members, but Tom Everett Scott is a supporting member. Vanessa Redgrave is a supporting cast member, and Patrick Bergin, who was kind of a big deal in the '90s, but hasn't been around much since then. He was terrific in it. So it's called Finding You. It is a rom-com. If you don't like rom-coms, don't watch it. But if you like them, if you like Hallmark movies, or you just like a good romantic comedy that again has a little bit of heart to it, it's really fun. I like it. And we have a comment from Christine who says loved it. So I guess at least a few people have heard of it besides me.
Well, 2 out of 3 people in this circle liked it. So
right. It's not a big release, but it's out on video in the US, out on like Blu-ray and DVD and stuff, and I'm sure it'll be on the streaming services at some point. It's definitely worth watching if you like that kind of. It's cute. It's cute and charming. What more do I need to say?
Sometimes you want a rom-com. So there we go.
That's right. Yeah, and
that's a film I remember. I think I posted the trailer on Live for Films a while back.
Right.
Because I've remember the post and things. Okay, cool. And my number 2 is a film I got sent on Blu-ray to review. It's an old film from 1963. It's out in UK cinemas. It's getting a 4K re-release on the 10th of September, and it's on Blu-ray, DVD, and digital from the 20th of September. It is The Servant, which is a 1963 drama directed by Joseph Losey, based on a play it was written by Howard Pinter, from a novella written by Robin Morham, and it stars Dick Bogart, Sarah Miles, Wendy Craig, and James Fox. And it's one of these films which I always, growing up, reading about movies and things, I used to get a stack of old movie magazines from my grandparents and things. It used to be, it was always in there. Dick Bogart did lots of comedy films starting in his career, like Doctor on Call and things like this. But then as his career went on, he started picking different stranger, pushing the boundary kind of thing of roles. This is one of them where he's taken on as a manservant to a rich man, wealthy man in London, played by James Fox. But as it goes on, it's like a power dynamic where Dirk Bogart's character basically ends up becoming the true master, and James Fox is just pushed to one side. And it's one of these films it's not a favorite film of mine. I'd seen it before, and I watched it to review again. It's one of those ones where I'd give it a 4-star film because it's 4 stars out of 5 because it's really well made. The acting's brilliant, but it's one of those ones I couldn't watch too many times because it's just so. You're just there going, oh, you can see it happening, and it's the way it's filmed deliberately. Everything's claustrophobic, not just the way the camera shots are, which is all part of it, but the way the house is built and things like this, and you can just see it all happening, and you go, no, don't do that, don't say this. But Dirk Bogart's amazing. He just starts off, well, yes, sir, no, sir, and it just gets more and more menacing, and you can see the little things, all the way he gaslights him and all this kind of stuff. It's well worth a watch. It is, as I say, it's a well-made film, well-written film. But it's one of those, you always have these films which are really good, but you don't want to watch them too often because like Requiem for a Dream, I'm talking about you.
Right, exactly.
That kind of thing. But as I say, it's been restored. The restoration's amazing. There's lovely black and white, the starkness coming out really well because most of the house is painted white on the inside as well. So it looks a bit different.
Right.
It's on the cinemas as well, though. If you want to see some classic British kitchen sink drama, although it's almost a horror film in some places. Right. It's out in UK cinemas on the 10th of September. That was the one I saw. Penultimate film I saw. Yeah.
All right. So The Servant. I'm not familiar with that film, so I may have to try and track it down. So that's cool.
Yeah. It's via Studio Canal. They're doing the new release and everything, so it's all on there.
That makes sense. All right. Excellent. Okay. So my number one, my most recent film I watched was Shang Chi, The Legend of the Ten Rings, or Shang Chi, as it's actually pronounced. But as a comic collector, I've been calling him Shang Chi since I was a kid because he's been around since the 70s. So even though it's pronounced Shang Chi in the movie, and I totally get that, it's really hard for me to say that because I've just been thinking of him as Shang Chi for like 30 years. But I did see it in theaters. And don't worry, spoiler free. I'm not going to give any spoilers.
I was going to say, because I've not seen it, keep it spoiler free.
Nope, I won't, and I won't spoil it for any of our viewers. No spoilers at all. I will keep this very vague, or not vague. I will just keep it brief. I really enjoyed Shang-Chi. It has some great action scenes. I like the first half of the film a little better than the second half. I like the second half, but I think the first half is a little more visceral for me.
Lots of reviews seem to be saying that as well. They seem
it's
one of the first fight scenes or something they say is amazing.
I think the problem is that the first fight scene in the movie is so amazing. They set the bar a little too high. And then you're like, okay, the rest of them are all really good too. But that first one is just so well done. It's a fun movie. Awkwafina is in it. She steals the show. I really loved her. I thought Simu Liu was great as Shang-Chi. Good supporting cast, great special effects. You'll love the lions. That's all I'll say about that. But other than that, it was good. It's enjoyable. I'm glad to see it's doing so well. It's another Marvel, but I'm going to say it's like a B+, but like a really strong B+, right? I enjoyed it quite a bit. I liked it probably better than Black Widow, which was kind of similar in structure, a lot of action. Not the deepest story in the world, although there's a little more to this one, but not maybe a top tier Marvel movie for me, right? But certainly not in any way a bad film. So that's it. Shang-Chi was the most recent film I saw, and I did really enjoy it quite a bit. So there we go.
How many post-credit scenes are there?
2, actually. There are 2. There's one right in the middle, and there's one at the very end. The one at the very end, I don't know if it's crucial, but it's probably going to be important. So I'd say watch them both.
Okay, cool. Good to know. Yeah, hopefully going to get to see that at the end of the week.
Good. I can't wait to hear what you think about it.
Okay, my the last film I watched, it was using one of those, the posters where scratch off, the top 100 movies to watch or something. It was one of them. I rolled 2d10 and did this and went down that way. That was where I picked it. But it was Martin Scorsese's 2006 crime thriller, The Departed. And it was a film which I've not seen before, even though it was one of those ones where I always you sort of going, I must watch that, and then realized I never had, even though I knew the plot, I knew bits and pieces of it. Right. Also knew it was based on Infernal Affairs.
Yes. It's Infernal, yeah.
Yeah, Infernal Affairs, yes, which stars Tony Leung, who's in Shang-Chi.
Yep.
But but anyway, this one I really liked it. Martin Scorsese. It's got Matt Damon, Leonardo DiCaprio, Jack Nicholson, Mark Wahlberg, Martin Sheen. Mark Wahlberg just basically swears and says hideous things all the way in it, but it's just amazing.
And he got an Oscar nomination for it.
Yeah, it's just he's just there in an office, and it's just the scene starts and it's like F you, this, bah, 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 and you just go, what the? Mm-hmm. But no, I really liked it. Martin Sheen was great. Ray Winston, Alec Baldwin, great cast. I was like that as it was going through, going, oh my god, forgot they were in it. Wow, really liked it. Although it did feel not quite as tight as some of other Scorsese's films. Lots of the same music from other films, which sort of took me out a little bit and put me into the other films. Like lots of Goodfellas choices, but no, I really liked it, and the way the story goes, and the characters. As it go, I think it got better as the film went on, and it got tighter and tighter between the two characters. If you haven't seen it at all, there's a guy from the mob who becomes a police officer, and there's a guy from the police who becomes an undercover agent with the mob. But they're very closely related to who they're investigating and protecting. But I really liked how it worked, and when the scenes with as it got closer and closer, I was just going, what's going to happen? What's going to play out? And when things happened, I was going, oh my God, like that. But I really enjoyed it. Thought it was great. I don't think you enjoyed it, Mike.
No, I think we've talked about it on the show before.
Yeah.
You haven't seen it, but I'm sure it must have come up at some point.
Yeah.
I know I've talked about it. No, I'm not a fan. I need to rewatch it. I've only seen it the one time. As you know, I'm not a giant Martin Scorsese fan overall. I like some of his films. I'm not a hater. I'm not a huge fan overall. But I am actually a big fan of Infernal Affairs, which I think is an incredible movie. And so this is kind of the double whammy of being Martin Scorsese, getting a ton of success and critical acclaim for a movie I didn't think was that good, and on top of all that, being nowhere near as good as the original, which nobody has seen, of course, except for in Asian countries it was a huge hit. But over here, it's kind of a cult classic at best. And I think that Scorsese's version is a patch on the original. I think Infernal Affairs is an absolutely phenomenal crime thriller. So, so it's okay. And for Departed, I don't. It's whatever. Not my favorite, but I do need to rewatch it. Maybe I'll have a different opinion when I watch it a second time.
Yeah, no, it's just great. But it was just DiCaprio and Damon were just fantastic. Really good, wasn't it?
Yeah, good performances. I won't argue that. All right, so there we go. That is our last 5 movies we watched. A pretty wide-ranging, list there, I think, right?
Yeah, totally. That's one of the pleasures of doing this list. I do like it. You never know what's coming up.
What's that?
That's one of the things I like about doing this list, is because it's always going to be a mixed bag of films.
Exactly. All right, well, that's going to bring us to ATE Recommends. Phil, why don't you kick us off? What are you recommending tonight?
I've got a couple of games. One's a board game, one's a card game. But I'll go with the little one first. The first one is a card game called Star Realms. It's like a deck building game.
Right, there you go. Yep. I'm familiar
with it. Really good that I enjoyed it so much. I went out and got myself card covers to put on the cards.
Nice.
So therefore, because it would no longer fit in the original cardboard box, I had to get myself a fancy box to put it in. But it's that good because I've played it lots already. You just got to play cards to buy more ships and play other cards to destroy the other player's ships and star bases. And it just likes the way it builds, because as it goes on, you start getting rid of your crappy little ships and getting bigger ships, which give you more money and more power and more abilities. But it's just great as it builds up, because you have these cards in the middle and you're going, oh yeah, on my next go I'm going to get that card, ha 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 ha, and then the other person gets that card, and you're just constantly changing your strategy. But that's the first one, Star Realms.
I haven't played Star Realms yet, but I played their first game, Hero Realms. I played extensively, and I love Hero Realms, one of my favorites. So I believe this is the same mechanics. Pretty much.
I think they do, and there's a Cthulhu Realms one as well. But it's all I'm not sure if it's the same publisher though, the other one, but they all use the same kind of format with money or trade and things like that.
Great.
And the second one is a big box board game, which is doing quite well. I've just got the lid because it's a heavy box, but it's Lost Ruins of Arnac.
Okay, I've seen it, but I haven't played it.
Well, it's my brother got it me for my birthday last year, I think, but I only actually got around to playing it the other week with my brother and a friend, and it's really good. You're basically explorers who've got to explore this island, and it's again, there's like a deck building mechanic, but there's also worker placement. So you have to send explorers out into the island to get resources and going to new places. There's these creatures, guardians, which you then have to kill. Or, well, you don't so much kill as you just sort of capture, and then they give you other boons and bonuses. And while that's going on, you've also got another thing where you've got to research the things you find to learn out what's going on the island. But it sounds overly complex. And when you're reading the rules, like so many of them, you're going, what the hell? What? How does this work? But then, as usual, you start playing it, and two or three turns, you start going, oh, wow, I get it. And it's just everything comes together really well, the different aspects of it. So there's probably lots of different ways you can win the game as well. And as we're going on, one of us at one point to go, okay, I want to do this. And then the other one to go, I'm going to go for this thing. And you can see people coming up with different. And at the end, we all go in, I can see what you were doing. Next time, I want to try this. But really good game. And well worth going. And as with all these things, don't let the instruction manual put you off. Watch some videos, go through, play through a couple of turns, and then you'll soon get it. But yeah, that's it. Lost Ruins of Arnac is my other recommendation.
All right, I like it. All right, well, I have sort of two tonight, and I'll explain what I mean by that in a minute. First up, though, is this. It is the Beach Boys. It's called Feel Flows. And it's the Sunflower and Surf's Up Sessions 1969 to 1971. So this is a 2-disc set. What's cool about this is, so I'm a big fan of the Beach Boys. I love all their hit songs, all their surfy, beachy songs and everything. But what's cool about this is these two albums, Sunflower and Surf's Up, basically came out kind of after the Beach Boys peaked, right? After all their hit songs came out, these two albums came out in, I think, 69 and 71. And they kind of were like a little bit sort of seen as has-beens by then. And so these two albums sound nothing like what you're used to, right? When you're thinking of Beach Boys and you think of, Good Vibrations or, Help Me Rhonda, that's nothing like what these albums sound like. In fact, actually, there's a couple of songs that sound like downright Beatles-ish, like White Album Beatles era stuff, like really rock vocals and interesting instrumentation, and all the different Beach Boys appear. Brian Wilson's on the album, and, Mike Love and Al Jardine and all those guys. And then each album, you get the original album remastered, but then you get like 20 or so bonus tracks, including like songs, like demo versions, backing track versions and stuff like that. And I gotta say, I'm really enjoying it so far. These are albums I've never heard before. I don't need like one song off the two albums that I've heard before, and everything else is just new to me. But really terrific stuff. If you like the Beach Boys, and you're mostly like a greatest hits fan of the Beach Boys, but you want to learn more, this is a really cool way to do it. So that's the 2-disc set called Feel Flows. Just came out like last week. Cool, yeah. The other thing I have, I don't know if it's much a recommendation as I'm showing it off, because it might be hard to get, but I have to show it off anyway because it's kind of awesome.
Show it off, Mike. Show it off.
It's this Tron 3-figure set. So this is a limited edition of 3,000 pieces. It was originally made for San Diego Comic-Con, but of course they didn't have San Diego Comic-Con, so it was released online. It's an exclusive through Diamond Previews. You can see here on the back of it, it says, right, well, you can't see it, but it says limited to 3,000 pieces. But what it is, it's cool because I'm a huge Tron fan. I buy everything Tron that comes out because there's not that much of it. But what's neat, so there's 3 figures and they're each in individual packaging, but I'm not taking them out because they have this nice box set, so why would I do that? But so there's let's see if I need the Sark right there, and Flynn, I think, in the middle, and then Tron, or maybe Tron, then Flynn. But what's cool is I have these other Tron figures up here on my desk that are much more like detailed, very much in like the style of like the McFarlane toys, very detailed figures. These are kind of a throwback to the original Tron figures from the 80s, which were like they're more in that clear translucent plastic, which I had as a kid, but I don't have them anymore. And of course, they're like my favorite toys in the world. And so these are like big versions of those, but they're a little more detailed. They're not just like, because those other ones were pretty rough looking, but they're very much inspired by that. And I love the look of them. They're just super cool. So like I said, if you can get them, I got them on Amazon. They are still out there. A couple, you can get them from some toy retailers and things like that, but they might be selling out pretty quickly. So, but if you're a Tron fan, come on, how cool is that?
That is very cool. I do like a bit of Tron.
Yeah. So there you go. That's our that's my recommendations, and that's your recommendation. So that is our recommendations.
Yes, you're welcome, Internet.
Yeah, that's definitely our attitude on this show. Is you're welcome for our awesome content. That's very much how we tend to do it. All right. Well, I don't want to go too much over our time today, so I think we'll wrap things up. But hopefully you enjoyed our 5 most recent movies we watched and our recommendations, and that should hold you over for another week. So we will be back next week. Well, in 2 weeks if you're watching live, or next week if you are watching the archived episodes or listening to the archived episodes via the podcast. So we'll see you soon. Is what it boils down to.
That's it. Yeah. So thank you for listening, everybody. It's been a good evening.
Absolutely. All right. Well, that's going to do it for us. So thank you very much, as Phil just said. And once again, I'm Mike Spring.
And I'm Phil Edwards.
And we'll see you next time.
After the ending.